Ready for some boom, baby, boom, right, and shine. Even if you got weirdos pulling around the building twice, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to have this morning motivation, baby. Good morning. What's up, kid? See him over there. Say hi. Get some fresh air. Don't care. You gotta make your life. And I've been watching way too many YouTube videos of people talking about dating, speed dating, and no men are showing up, and all the girls are where the good men at, but then the good men aren't in the age range that they want them to, or there's not enough of them, or the dudes are staying home because they ain't making the money, tough economy, so they ain't gonna go on a date for a girl to tell them you gotta buy some pussy. And I figured it out. I know what the loneliness epidemic's all about, and it was actually taught to me by an old man in Thailand, and he literally said one word: compromise. Leg out, let's have this conversation. So apparently nobody knows how to compromise anymore. Nobody wants to give up their position to gain another position, sort of like chess. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to capitulate. That's another good word. My buddy, I just taught him that word. But to give up anything to get something, there seems to be nobody wants to throw anything out of balance. They just want everything for nothing, and they want the most that they can get. It's almost like we're shopping at a menu that we can't afford yet. We used to say champagne taste, beer budget, right? But that's all of us. All of us want everything and once. Good morning. This guy just stared at me. So we get this shit on my shoe. Good morning. And expect nothing's gonna be something still in my shoe, but expect nothing's gonna cost you something, as if you're gonna get everything that you ask for, like it's on a menu that you can't afford. And the tough part is, I don't think we have enough wherewithal, like wherewithal, in your brain to wear it all out and weigh it all out to say that, yeah, I'm asking for too much. Like if we want to paint the pretty picture, we say, oh, I want this and that, I want the appetizer, I want the entree, and I want the dessert, but I don't want to have to pay for any of it. I just want to flirt. I just want them to pay for it all, have no commitment level at all, and then everything's going to come right to my feet like all of it was there from the beginning. The tough part is that's just not how life works, man. Life is filled with compromises. Life is filled with decisions that you got to make on the fly, and realize that none of us are bringing it all to the table. Not one of us has all the finances. The guy said, you'll never be happy. Look, you can grow through concrete, baby. You can grow through concrete, baby. That you can just wish and hope and pray that everything's going to go your way without having to put in any effort or switch up your decision. Look at this motherfucker just pulled on the curb and almost ran me over. You see that shit? This motherfucker. Some people's kids, bro. But yeah, in essence, this is what ends up happening, is that we demand everything without having to compromise something. And this is why there's a loneliness epidemic. You're not going to be able to get all the money and have all the time, or have all the time and then still have the money. We all try to put ourselves into a situation that wins, but never want to give up any of our positions. I don't know if you've ever played chess, but there's some sacrifices. There's some literal sacrifices out there in life where you got to actually put up some time, like let's say in college, to get out of, it's so beautiful this morning, to get out an education, but you're in your youth. Who wants to give up 6-8 years of their 20s to get a college education? Not many people. They're going to be like, no, not me, bro. But if it's a doctorate or a master's degree or a PhD, you're going to be all like, yeah, sure, I'll sacrifice all of it just for a chance to have a better living. And this is the compromise that we make. We make compromises all the time, like, don't brush my teeth, we'll have bad teeth, dental health hygiene later. Or don't work out, sit on the couch, but guess what? There goes my heart rate. There's not one of us that gets to go into one thing without the other thing sacrificing. And this is what makes chess so amazing, is because you earn a position, but you lose another position. You were on that square, but now you have to go somewhere else. And while we all watch each other going like, I'm all alone, little do they know that they're just doing it all alone by themselves. not by themselves, but pulling the same moves that everybody else is going to do. I love this little old house here. It's so quaint, so cute and quaint. I'm going to go to the river in the park, and we're going to spark this little joint here. It's a beautiful little situation, but man, I just keep watching it. It must be in my feed, or maybe it's in my algorithm on YouTube. But goddamn, are we not mad at the things that we don't do? How are you supposed to be free if you don't give up something to compromise these things? Like, nobody else is going to just give you the world and you're not going to have something else. I think it's like, oh, look how beautiful this is. I think it's like the joke of the world. I'm just going to pause for the cause because this is beautiful. God damn, I'm so blessed to be out here. This is one of my favorite views too, by the way. This lady's walking past, but there's like a little bridge over here. It's so beautiful. Let me not record her, but so beautiful. Ihana. Look, I made her smile. Look how beautiful it is. It's like a bridge here, and this whole thing here. I'm gonna just sit by the river and have a smoke, if you will. So yeah, I mean, that was what the old man told me. It wasn't like I had the solution, but he was like, back in my day, and it was like probably the 60s, we used to have to compromise. You know, we would compromise our time and sacrifice some things to be able to get the other things, you know, like sacrificing in chess or sacrificing your time or giving up something so you can get a better something. This is exactly like college is like. This is exactly like relationships are like. We literally are saying, hey, I'm not going to date anybody else. I'm going to sacrifice my time and put it in with you and spend it with you. Like, we can't spend $1 twice. And that's where it leads on. I don't know where the fuck these people are going, but there's a whole ass troop over here walking this morning. It's a whole ass thing going on. But that's what we say to our lives. You know, we say that I want more out of my life, so I'm willing to sacrifice maybe my 20s for some college education and do something differently so I'm in a different trajectory. Or B, I'm going to just go selfishly go like, hey, I'm just going to party my 20s away and then wonder why I have to work my 40s away. We make decisions all the time. Constantly, actually. And it's all, that's why I called it Saints Addiction for a reason, because there were trade-offs. You know, sure, you might have addictions, but I still have compulsions, right? And then sure, if I give over to my addictions, then I'm in a weakness position, and then I never get out of my cycle. It's really up to me. Luckily for my homie who was drinking soda every morning, he was drinking water. And I said, what happened to the soda? He's like, bro, I got diabetes. I was like, you've been drinking soda this whole time, every morning? Like it's it's your breath wash and mouthwash and you got diabetes. You shouldn't be drinking these sodas, bro. It's gonna be the end of you. And that's what we do. We'll do all sorts of things like smoke a cigarette. It's a pessimistic behavior because you're in essence saying, I don't care about the future, even though we know that every cigarette that you smoke is basically like 7 days off your life. And if you're smoking 20 pack a day, 20 times 7, we can do the math. It's 150 days off of your life. That's almost a half year on one pack. Can you believe it? Like, apparently that's the math, but that's what ends up happening. We'll go for something that we want in the immediacy, but we won't calculate what it's going to cost us in the long term. And that's why we have to make compromises that we switch off. Like, yeah, maybe I should get up and brush my teeth before I go to bed so that I can have clean dental hygiene, or maybe I should go for this gym workout so it doesn't stress me out and I have a heart attack later. I need to exercise my cardiovascular skills, or maybe I do need to do my deep breathing so I don't have anxiety and lower my own heart rate without having to elevate it or use depressants. There's a compromise there. And this is like compromises and sacrifices is what I should have labeled this thing. But it looked like there was a loneliness epidemic that most people didn't know why they were so lonely. And it was just like, you know, I'm working on my own dating app and I want other people to eventually download it so that they can find somebody that's near them that actually wants to talk at the right time. But everyone else is putting in some not putting in some compromise. They want to have everything, and this is where our ego takes place, and not have to give up anything. And that's when it has to take place, is you have to give up something to get to somewhere else. You know, it's like addiction. They say it's like giving up one thing to get everything, and we've given up everything for the one thing. And everybody knows that they've done that before, where they become completely obsessed, completely controlling, and then they want everything. And then that narcissism, we think that it belongs to us. We feel like we deserve it and that we earned it. But guess what? Nobody owes us shit. Nobody owes us shit. They don't owe us the time. They don't owe us the money, and they definitely don't owe us a show up to the speed dating event. You're gonna have to earn it. And that's one of the things I'd never seen anybody else do. My dad used to say it all the time, but it was one of those things where it was just like, I got three bad habits: food, clothing, and shelter. It was like, me too, bro. And they ain't going away anytime soon. Besides for that, you're going to want to have some love in your life. You're going to want to have some health in your life, and you're probably going to want to have some wealth in your life. And that takes place in all of us. All of us are in the same boat, but I don't see in all of us doing anything to sacrifice any of it. Like, I was talking with my friend Jenny Face, and she was just like, yeah, I go to the grocery store, same grocery store. I go to this gas station, same gas station. Matter of fact, she doesn't even go in the grocery store anymore. She calls the food and it comes out, and I'm like, no wonder why you're not meeting nobody, bro. You're not willing to sacrifice getting off your lazy ass, going to go get those groceries and meeting somebody. God forbid you put your hair up a little bit or maybe a little bit of lipstick. No, we want people to arrive on our own time. This is where the narcissism happens. When we want it, this is where the ego happens. And when we demand it, because we're just so selfish bastards that we're just like, yeah, because I asked for it, I should get it. And that's not the definition of manifestation. Manifestation requires your input. You're going to have to change something to get different results. And I don't know anybody that's willing to compromise their current cycles or whatever they're on, like, their pattern and what they want. They don't want to get off of their pattern. And so they stay on the same course, and they're wondering why they never hit land. And I'm just like, bro, what kind of fucking sailor are you, bro? Like, are you serious? You're good. I mean, you got to get out, right? Like, come on now. This is what the world takes place. Hold on. Bless up. Join We Club. If nothing changes, bro. And I don't want your money. I want your change. I want you to be able to change your behavior so you can get into a different destination that you never thought was possible. The only reason I'm over here at Finland is because I was brave enough to go from Thailand. I earned that shit. I came here during the worst winter they had in 100 years. Little did I know. But guess what? That's the price that was paid. Everybody wants the prize, but not everybody wants to pay the price. Richard Basham was completely right. No, everybody's demanding something, but they don't want to pay for anything. Well, respect is earned and not given. Love has to be worked for. And you will have to change some of your character to meet a new character. It's simple like that. Either be an NPC, a non-player character, or be the lead role in your own movie. But guess what? That guy's got to show up. He's got to pupate. He's got to be a caterpillar. You got to go through the fucking levels and finally spread your wings. That takes a fucking process, bro. That's like evolution, baby. Like, we all had to evolve to this level. And yet we come to a level where we demand everything because everything's supposed to be convenient. But convenient is not what that old man said. He said compromise. And for most of us, we want everything given to us. We're like, yo, give me that sunshine right now. The sun went behind the cloud. How am I going to demand something from the sun? I don't get to demand anything. I just get to participate in it. And if I'm lucky to be alive and so happen to find somebody, that is a blessing. We don't see it that way. We go, as soon as this guy gets here, let me put it through some ringers. Let me see what's his credit card score, what kind of car he drives, how much money he earns, what kind of work you do. We put it through the ringer, and we don't compromise anything with ourselves. We make them compromise. Like, you got to make more money. Or you got to have no kids. Or maybe I only dating people that are of a certain religion. It's happening. Trust me, I'm putting it in the dating app. But man alive, if it isn't something where I was just like, how are you going to get everything without giving up something? How are you going to be able to adjust your sail so you can get into another port? This is what sailing's about. You don't get to pick the weather. You don't get to pick the wind. And you definitely don't get to predict the water. But you still go on and sail. Why? Because it's worth the adventure. This guy's my favorite right now. Hell yeah, he's smiling. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to fucking get over yourself. How do you unlonely things? Oh, I'm an introvert. Well, shit, go to an introvert convention. I don't give a shit, but you're going to have to reach out. I got friends that got friends all over the world because they play video games. Would they be willing to give up video games for somebody? Probably not. Will you be willing to give up one of your habits to get the love of your life? Well, when you put it that way, people are like, of course I would. What's the word when we're hypocritical, right? We're hypocritical on other people. Like, what are they doing? but we don't reflect in ourselves. We don't go into ourselves and go, oh yeah, well, I'm doing that kind of too. Maybe your significant other doesn't want to be the cook. Well, shit, I'll take out the trash. Maybe I'll cook, you clean. When we were kids, whoever cooked didn't have to wash the dishes. That's a compromise. It was a pretty good deal. But you need to find something that's worth the deal that you won't have to fucking run away from. And this is what I'm talking about. It's something that goes inside of all of us. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things that we all get a chance to go inside of ourselves and say, hey, maybe I don't want to do this every day. Maybe I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. How can I mix it up? It's up to you. Up to you, Lao Tao Kun, as they say in Thai. You got to say, up to me. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. And nobody wants to engage themselves. They don't want to make themselves the primary decision maker. They want to offset it with someone else and go, man, I just haven't found him yet. Ma'am, you had 2 kids with them. Maybe you should figure out a way to work it out. Nobody wants to talk about going backwards. They want to talk about divorce and splitting, but they don't want to talk about staying together and working on something. This is the definition of like entrepreneurship. It's like we make, they say entrepreneurs make the parachute after they've jumped out of the fucking, that's so beautiful, thank you. After they've jumped out of the plane. We all do insane shit. We're like, well, I won't date a guy that doesn't have my religion or doesn't have this amount of money or doesn't have this amount of height. But then they'll go and say, I've dated short guys. I've dated guys that had no money. I've dated guys that were ugly. And then you did compromise. And it was like, see, but you just don't want to compromise anymore is what you're saying. And that's what ends up happening. So you get nothing. You're like, it's like being picky on your food, like my mom used to say. She said, this is all we're eating, bro. And if you don't like it, you don't get nothing. It's not like she was going to go back and go to the store and go get me a meal. There's 4 kids here. You're going to eat what we all eat, bro. And that's what we end up getting stuck with. And we get so much choice. It's the illusion or delusion of choice. They call it I think it's called the choice bias. With presented with so many different choices, we can't make a choice at all. We're just like, oh shit, there's so many people. I swipe. But none of them are real suitors. Just because someone says that they super like you doesn't mean they actually super like you. And we get into this confusion that was like, okay, well, there's so many guys in my DMs. Well, how many of them are getting on your knees? Not many. Or how many girls are you chasing that really care about you? Not many. And we go into these delusions. It's a delulu land, where we're just going to expect everything to happen for us. And yet we won't change for ourselves. This is the compromise that needs to happen. How are you going to get something like, get over diabetes? Well, you got to get over the sugar. Get over being overweight? Well, then you better go run. Look at these beautiful blonde girls just jogging it up. Yes, sir. You know what I mean? Something has to give. And it's got to be you. I used to say, something's got to give and it ain't going to be me. Well, that's just stubborn, and I call it stupid stubborn. As a Taurus male, I know when I'm being stupid stubborn, it's stupid stubborn. Nothing's going to last unless you fucking make it last. And then nobody wants to do any of that. We're in a culture of convenience. As long as it's convenient for me, then I'll do something about it. But life isn't convenient. But like I said, the cloud's not going to move out of the way because I want more sunshine. It doesn't work that way, but that's how we work. Or sometimes not work at all. We worked, the corporation didn't work, and they lost $46 billion. We constantly want something without giving up anything. And that doesn't make any sense at all. It's a trade-off. Life is a trade-off. You're trading your time, hours for dollars, like my dad used to say, make hours for dollars like a hoe on my back. You know what I mean? You're trading something. You're always giving up either your energy or your body or your time. They used to call it your meat, your money, energy, attention, and time. If it costs more than your meat, whatever you're about to eat, it's going to be expensive. I know Wagyu isn't the same as ground beef. But can you afford the other? It's like, yeah, but I want to afford the other, so I'm just going to wait till I can afford the other. Waiting ain't going to change the game. Doing is. And that's the difference. I keep saying the solution for not rejection. What's the word I'm looking for? The solution for regret, that's the word I'm looking for, is action. You're going to have to take some bold action. Sangar, what's up, brother? I see you, bro. You're going to have to take some action for it to have a reaction. You're going to have to put in a different catalyst, a different chemical, a different mixture, a different recipe to get a different outcome. It's like baking. I used to bake a lot of cornbread. And I was constantly changing up the recipe. I would add maybe some cinnamon, maybe some honey, maybe I'd add more cornmeal. I just kept messing with the recipe till I got it the way that I wanted it to taste. We're not switching up anything. We're like, I'm just gonna stay the way that I am, and then if they fit, like what was the bad quote from Marilyn Monroe? If you don't love me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Who goes out and dates from the worst? Who goes out and says, I'm embarrassed by this, or these are my flaws? This is why it's Saints Addiction, because I'm honestly flawed. It was just like, look, let me see if you can't overcome my flaws before I start gratifying myself, or future faking, or what is virtue signaling to somebody that I got all my shit together. I'm like, this is what I've overcome, and this is what I'm willing to change. That should be the conversation on the first date. Like, what happened to the other guy? It's the first question I asked at the job. Why is this job even available? What happened to the other dude? What did he do wrong so I don't have to make the same mistakes? That would be a good question. Would you still be with that person if they had changed? Probably. But that person didn't change. And this is why our divorce rate's so high. He didn't stop drinking. She didn't stop cheating. We didn't stop lying. It's the whole thing. It's all of us. And it's in all of us. It's not just an epidemic. It's all of us, totally spoiled by choices, but now we have no choices at all. And then that's all anything is just loneliness. And we keep that epidemic going, and we get worse and worse and worse. I was telling my friend, have you ever seen the movie Surrogates? He's like, no, I didn't see it. Well, in Surrogates, Bruce Willis has hair. Believe it or not. He sends in his robot to do the dirty work. He goes and be a cop and gets tackled, and maybe even that robot gets ran over by a car, but he stays at home in this like capsule, almost like a full-on Oculus uniform, and then you just get old, and you get wrinkles, and you get age spots, and then of course Bruce Willis doesn't have hair. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's never had hair since the 80s, but that's what we'd like to happen, right? We would like to sit there and just be like, yeah, I have no wrinkles. Here's my filter. I have no stretch marks. I'm perfectly fit. Matter of fact, I can go get some fake tits. I can go get some fake lips, and I can get a fake butt. But that's what you are. You end up becoming fake. Somebody's only loving you on the fake illusion of who they think that you are. I was watching this one comedian says she doesn't date dudes that say she's funny. She's like, that's right. I've been practicing this my pitch, my what do they call it in comedy when they've been working on their material, right, for 10 years. After bombing and going over and people not laughing, that didn't work, this worked. You're loving me after I got polished. You know what I mean? After 10 years, you haven't been with me when my jokes suck, and trust me, most of the time they do. You think at home, well, the comedian is that funny? No, you're in love with the vision of them and not the actual version of them. And this is why Saints Addiction had to get to the root chakra and the realness of it. And like, this is what I was doing when I was dating the last chick. I'm like, I got narcissistic tendencies. This might go down. I might cheat on you. I've been known for doing something like that. And I have my abusive tendencies too. Like, I can be very stern and immovable. That's going to be somewhat hard to date. And I mean, yeah, we tried it, and sure, it didn't work, but at least I was honest about it at the front. I was just like, look, dude, these are my sticking points, and most people call them, what do they call it? Deal breakers, like, I won't date somebody that doesn't make enough money or isn't this height, and we're just going selective. And then they get into the delusional calculator, and they go up to these girls, they really do, and they go, okay, let's see how many of these guys are a percentage of the population. And it turns out you're way delulu. It's less than 1% of the men that are sitting around being six figures, six inches plus, and six-pack abs. They have options. And then all of a sudden you're wondering why. It's like, okay, I got a trade-off. It's like, I got the 6, 6, and 6, but now he's not home by 6, and he has sex with other people, and by the way, he has motherfucking options. You're gonna be fucking stuck right where you started from the beginning. So it's like, sure, you get some things, but you don't get all the things, and not one person ever is going to be perfect at all. That's why mostly Saints is perfectly imperfect, because that's who we all are, warts and all. Like my great aunt used to say, you're gonna have to love me warts and all, because it's always the easy parts to love the shell, the outer version of the person. But how are you gonna handle the chick when she starts having massive breakdowns because she keeps staring in the mirror and doesn't love what she sees? She keeps injecting everything into her body. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then you're gonna try to be more practical, right? You're gonna try to be more intellectual intellectual. Well, how are you going to be so smart that you don't outsmart yourself? Like that'd be the key to the whole being a human being, is having mental control, right? Like, what do they call it? Not only self-control, but of emotional maturity, to say like, this is how I've been acting, and this is what I'm willing to change, so it doesn't keep acting this way. This is what really ends up happening. Are you just putting on a front? Are you just up in there trying to act like you are? Or are you actually going to put in the work and do what it takes to get where you want to go? That's a big difference. That's the difference between, well, you call wish in one hand and shit in the other, like we used to say in the South. I don't want to just wish, and I don't want to just shit. I want to achieve, and by that means I have to sacrifice something. If you're asking my dad, he would say something like the effect of delayed gratification. Like, okay, I delayed going to college for like 6 years of my life or 8 years of my life, and therefore that's what ended up happening, right? I gave up some of my college years in my 20s so I could get an education, so I wouldn't have to work when I'm in my 40s. It's a compromise, and a lot of us were making compromises all the time with our health and with our wealth and with our future. But when it comes to relationships, we don't want to compromise anything. We want the person just to be completely perfect. We went down the list, we even swiped, and we even matched, but did we even show up? You know what I mean? Did you even make it to that coffee? Did you even make it to a moment with that person? Are you even creating moments? Or are you just trying to pick them apart and shape them and be the controller of things? It's like, stop trying to control the sun, Icarus. That's what Icarus did. He flew too close to the sun. That's what narcissism does. And then we get humbled and we come back down to earth. And it's like, down to earth people is a real saying. When you're down to earth, then you can reach that person. You can teach that person. You want to be always teachable or coachable. You know what I mean? It's like if you know everything, then you will have first of all, no one knows everything, but then you wouldn't need a manager, you wouldn't need a professor, you wouldn't need a mentor. We all need some guidance. This is how we're shaped. This is why we have patriarchy and matriarchy, and we have grandmas and grandpas to teach us the lessons that they learned in their lives to hand it down, so we have more survival rate. You don't believe me? I'm watching the hyenas grow, and it's like the one hyenas are ran by women. They lead the pack, but it's like as soon as her pup came up, her top female litter came up, then it was her job to be as brave and take meat away from lions and risk some things, you know what I mean? Just to prove that she earned that position. The moment you're at your weakness, go watch the monkeys, dude. They start attacking. They're waiting to be the next guy that can fuck all the females. They're not just waiting for you to get healthy or not be old. They're not going to just let you go off in the sunset. No, they scare you away from the pride so that they can have the strongest members actively strong at that moment so that their pride can be survived. If not, guess what? There's known for the lions killing the other babies. That's not my baby. Boom. They're known for stealing babies. I watched the monkey. She couldn't have a baby, but she was the lead monkey, so she stole a baby. Why not? Why? It's called earned, not given. You know what I mean? And everybody thinks it's a given that somebody out there in the world is going to be just perfect for them, and they get what they deserve just because they asked for it, not because that they changed or capitulated or compromised. It's just because, well, I manifested it that way. Well, put some man in your festing, right? Do something with your day. Actually fucking make it happen. Show up to a different fucking grocery store. Approach somebody that you want to talk to. Go to certain events. Flip the fucking script so that way you can get a different chapter, baby. This is what I'm talking about. Only you can write the next chapter of your life. And this is a big determination of life, is for all of us to say, hey, I got some accountability. I'm going to take action in my life, and therefore I'm going to get different outcomes. It's not because I swiped right or I matched or I super liked. It's none of those things. It's actually showing up, and that's like half the battle. So that's your boy's G.I. Joe, because showing up's half the battle. That's this morning's motivation. You know what I'm saying? And as always, peace and love. And Chigata. That means goodbye, but not forever and finish. And I will see you on the other side as soon as you like, share, and subscribe. But the other side of your fear, the other side of your excuses, and the other side of the world, because that's where I'll be. And that's not only peace, but that's the truth. You know what I mean? Let's see. I'll try to get into these. Hi, 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 hi. Said hi. Hello, sir. Spectacles looking. Did they spray silver iodide in the clouds? Must have. The little Newton third law of reaction. I have to look that up. When did you visit Maryland? I've never been to Maryland. Sometimes illusion is better than reality. This is a dystopia. And then one must be trunculent. I love that word. Means in a bad situation. Mina in bad situation. I don't know what that meant, but you get what I'm saying. And it's practical advice. It came from an old man in Thailand, and he taught me that. And he said, that's what I see in this new generation. They don't want to compromise. So in the 60s, they did have free love, but they also knew how to work as a team and work together. That's the last thing that I ever hear anybody trying to bring to the table is I'm a team player. You know, like I'm willing to sacrifice for the team. You know, I got friends that'll like sacrifice their singles cruise so that they can take their son to hockey. You know, they'll sacrifice a weekend of work for their boss so they can get a pay raise. But if it comes to having a lover and somebody in your life, you're just like, there's the door and I give up so easily. Let's get a divorce. Nobody can build from there. You know, nobody can build from quitting. Nobody can build from not changing. Nobody, and nothing, if nothing changes, nothing changes, nothing changes, bro. And that's it. So be the mix it up, add a little catalyst, and thank me for it later. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the other side. Chigata. Bye. Man, some people's kids, bro. Some people.